Hello and welcome to episode number 3 of Game Defined.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, how are you all feeling today, tomorrow, whenever you're hearing this? So, this week, since I've come back from the conference, I've been playing God of War. David's been playing God of War.
I finished God of War.
Exactly.
So yes, I need to be
A lot of
very
your opinions
careful.
are coming from you, and you're going to remain with a closed mouth also most of the times because of spoilers.
Yes, but I can't remain with a closed mouth. It's a podcast.
No.
Yes, so I'm
What do you
loving
think,
it.
Sir David, of God of War?
No, I loved it.
No.
I'm not gonna say I loved it. I'm saying I'm loving it because it's one of the first games that I'm still playing, even though
You finished the main
the campaign is done, which is rare for me. But yeah, anyway, trying to avoid spoilers. Everyone knows that it's
Actually,
basically.
did you find it long as a game? Thinking about it.
I got sidetracked quite a bit.
Okay.
So I wasn't
You
constantly
didn't do all the
doing.
side quests, but
I did a few because there were some side tracks that got my interest, but I did spend around a week.
okay.
So I played. So for a weekend, during the weekend, I did play 15 hours. Definitely. Then a
So there you
solid 5 hours during the week. So I had the game on Wednesday, played 5 hours. It's said to have 35 hours of gameplay. It has much more
the
than
main
that, I
campaign
believe.
gave you a lot to do, though.
Yes.
Considering
Yes.
we have to take into the fact that this is the first open world game for God of War, kind
Yes.
of.
And it is, to me, one of the best God of Wars that came out. I mean, they did an amazing job.
I think so too. I mean, it's not just mindless bashing. It's
Exactly.
totally different, even though it's the same sort of Kratos.
But much wiser.
Yeah.
He is. Yes, the story is basically his second wife dies, and it's him and his son Atreus who need to take her ashes up the highest peak of Midgard. I said Midgard. Obviously, it's we have no more Greek gods. It's all Norse gods. So it's going
Because
to
someone
be,
killed them all. No.
yes. So he
Maybe.
migrated from Greece to
Scandinavia
Norway or
or-
Scandinavia, whatever you want to say. And it's basically him and his son. He's constantly training his son in a very
to go through shit.
yes in a
Too
very
much shit for a kid to go
yes, of
through.
course. But I think how old is he? 10 maybe? Is he 10 years?
I don't know
10,
exactly,
11
but to be a
maybe?
10-year-old killing
Yeah.
those demons on the way.
Yeah. And with the tattoos
I'm
on,
fine,
on,
father.
on his neck and on his arm all over. But yeah, it's basically Kratos constantly telling his son he's not good enough. But no, that does change
Did I
throughout
do
the
good,
journey.
father? Be
Yes,
better.
yes. It is a different side of Kratos we've never seen.
Very.
In previous games, we had Kratos who's always blaming others for his misfortune, bloodthirsty. I'll kill you. In fact, he killed all the gods and all the Greek gods. Well, most of them anyway. So, in contrast, in this game, he's much wiser. And as I said before, he has
More
to
compassionate in
be
a way.
more. He's not
No, not
too compassionate, to be honest, because
He doesn't show it. Otherwise, he's
doesn't
always
show it.
hugging his son. But in this
Exactly.
case, he does care about Atreus. But
Exactly. He shows that he loves his son, but he has this extreme tough love method of.
he's always been a cautious person.
Yes, and he's not as. No, he is as down and as negative as the other games. But Atreus gives him that element of hope. In fact, I think very early in the game, he tells him, for example, he tells him, don't be sorry, just be better. And building on
Yeah.
that throughout the game, he does tell him.
He helps to build this
don't-
kid's personality.
Yes,
He's always going sorry, or he's full of himself. He gets angry really quickly. This
Yes.
kid, and Kratos is basically stopping him from doing that. Like, stop being angry. Stop
exactly.
doing this.
I mean,
and
he
that.
does have an element of Spartan rage in him as well.
He does.
His son.
Probably that's why he's going the fatherly way of teaching him.
To control.
Don't be me.
Exactly.
Don't be the me in the
And-
past 3 and PSP version games.
Exactly. In fact, further on in the game, he does tell him. He tells him, "You don't have to be like me. You have to be better." There's that conflict that his son obviously doesn't know that he is part God, and he doesn't know the background of his father. He doesn't know the dark history his father
It
has.
adds to the story, which is really nice to
Exactly.
see this character plot really growing this bond between the two.
In fact, one of the conflicts Kratos has is that whether to tell his son or not what he is, what he's done.
The main conflict I have is how shit his arrows are in the beginning when I'm trying
They
to.
are, but they do improve a lot throughout the game.
They do.
They do improve a lot.
The fighting system depends a lot on utilizing Atreus, in fact.
Yes.
So let's actually mention the fighting system of God of War this time, where before it was as if you were playing Devil May Cry,
Whatever, yes,
Bayonetta,
Button
smash
mashing.
buttons, make combos, kill everything
Exactly.
that's in your area, made 50 ferocious kills. But in this case, you have to be really, really careful how you fight. I don't know how it is on normal mode, because I actually decided to start the game on hard mode.
Yes.
And
I did it on normal.
it is really not forgiving.
No, it isn't.
at all.
Even in normal, it isn't. I mean, you have a new dynamic to the game as well. Before, Kratos never dodged. Sorry, not dodged. Never parried. He never had a shield.
No.
So in this one, you do, and you need to use it because enemies have two type of.
It took me a while to get used to the shield. The game does show you that certain attacks are going to
Yes.
happen,
Unblockable.
and you
or-
can block them.
Exactly.
But if they're unblockable, instead it's the same ring.
It's a
that's
red ring which
appears,
is
but it's
unblockable,
red, exactly.
which you have to dodge.
But by the time you see, it's probably too late.
It is. You need to be cautious. There is an element of strategy. For example, there is a particular enemy, which again I don't give too much away, that constantly moves. So you need to make sure that Atreus hits her with the bow.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, with an arrow before,
Oh,
or else
I
I already said her. So
her.
yeah, it's a she. She disappears, and you don't. But to be honest, you don't get much of them. But that is.
But when it
a
happens,
very
it's so annoying.
annoying
And there
enemy,
was a fight. It really pissed me off so much. So a lot of the times a fight can happen where you have this first set, you kill a pair or a single monster of a different type in this set that came out after you. When you kill either or, another group just tends to come out.
Yes.
And initially in this fight, I was killing the one who was on her own.
Yeah?
Okay, it's not that much of a spoiler, so I can say it this way. Basically, they were like these mini titans, the one with that attack you with the halberd or the pole arm.
Okay.
The ones that swings always on overhead and then
Yes.
swings to the left.
One of the drogs.
And then they
or
do a
whatever they're
poke.
called. Yeah.
The Droger that
The
gives you a
Droger,
poke.
yeah.
A very fast poke.
Yes.
I bloody hate that poke.
Yes.
So initially I was just killing that sort of demon witch, whatever.
Yeah.
And then another group of enemies just pop out. Like, I hate you. Now all of a sudden with these two plus this new group that came out after me, this is too difficult.
Yes.
Blah. But then I realized that if I killed the pair of those Titan Drogers
Yeah.
first, the group would also come out. But at least it waited for the two of them to die.
Okay.
And that made the fight even easier. They can't be lifted off with the axe to start a combo.
Yes. In fact, that's one of the tactics you need to take
Yes.
into consideration whilst playing. You
The
need
witch
to
can be
choose
lifted,
which
but at
enemy to
least
attack
she
first.
doesn't have that much health. But if you kill her off first, it's actually going to be annoying.
Yes.
Like,
For some,
there's actually the better way to do a fight.
Yeah.
Which in
Yes,
hard
yes,
mode
yes.
you need it.
And that's what I loved about it. That a fight can fight the same fight more than one way. So
yes.
you can, even if you don't, all right, you've done it, but you don't like, you think you can do better, just go back to the last checkpoint and do it again in a different way. For example,
Okay, let's mention
meet
the axe, the beautiful
the axe,
axe.
the Leviathan axe. That's beautiful. It is. I mean,
It's
that's a tactic that I used a lot.
Mhm.
Once you you can throw the axe, okay, which is very, very, very satisfying. The controller vibrates a bit to give you that feel of him actually receiving
the feedback of the axe when you throw it
it's
and it comes back.
beautiful. It's beautiful. That it's an ice powered axe. If you throw it to an enemy, especially one of the Droggers, it freezes him. So if you're fighting,
There's the
freezes
heavy
for
throw,
a
he
few
freezes.
seconds.
If it
Exactly.
sticks to him, it's like stuck frozen.
Exactly. So if you're overwhelmed, you can just throw the axe,
You keep one frozen and you go on the other
Exactly.
with your fists.
barehanded and shield. Exactly. So that's another tactic.
And another
Also-
good thing about the freezing, in fact, which I love, is, and I found out about it by mistake, it didn't come to mind, the game didn't teach me to do so,
Mm-hmm.
which was when they're frozen, there's a chance if you kick them to the wall, they'll break,
Yes.
regardless of how much health they have.
Yes. Yes.
So that discovery, as soon as I found out, so I can actually smash them into the wall regardless of how powerful they are.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Yes. It doesn't happen on the very heavy ones. Like it doesn't happen on the trolls
No.
or on the ogres, but on the druggers. I can't say this
Droggers.
correctly. It does.
You start to experiment which ones you can do so
Yeah.
and where you cannot.
Yeah.
Because where you cannot, you're going to be chickening out.
Of course. Yes.
Bye. No. Let me reduce numbers first.
Let me go.
But then, as I said before, you try to reduce the numbers in a particular way, and then it actually bites you back in the ass.
Yes.
Thanks, God of War.
But even, for example, there are certain things like, fine, you're throwing the axe, you can move about, and when you call it back, on the way back, the axe will cause damage
That helps a
to
lot.
whoever is in the way whilst it's coming back. Just to put into perspective for anyone who hasn't played the game, the axe is very much like Mjolnir,
boomerang.
the Thor's
Mjolnir, yeah.
Mjolnir, sorry, Thor's hammer. So whatever is in its path will get damaged or destroyed.
Yep.
Another
Another cool thing about the axe, which is also, I think, mainly on the light ones, on the light droggers or enemies, so to speak,
Mhm.
where even if you throw the axe to their legs, they trip.
Yes.
So you see two next to each other, aim for the legs.
And even if
And,
you aim for the head, you give out more damage rather
Mhm.
than aiming for the chest. So yeah, the axe.
But these are stuff that you actually have to discover on your own.
Yes, of course. No, there's no tutorial that tells you how to throw it, and that's it, and how to call it back.
Even though in my second fight, the tutorial tells me, hey, this is the enemy's health bar. When it goes down, they'll die. Wow. Thank you.
No shit, Sherlock.
After I died 3 times on the very first fight.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to learn how to parry. Thank you.
That's also another good tactic. When you parry, if you parry right in the last few seconds.
So there's a
They're
time
sort
with
of
the
dazed.
shield, at least, when an attack is about to happen, you have this grace period where you can release the shield and you parry. And when that happens, you can just start your next attack. It can be the light, the heavy, or there are skill attacks.
Yes,
Where
you have those.
Eventually, as you go along, for example, you can find items that will add an ability to the weapon you're using. For example,
Again,
in the case of
yes.
the axe, I have one that I like, is that you freeze the area around you.
Exactly. Yes, he just jumps up in the air, twirls the axe, and just slams it on the floor.
And I love the
And that
animation
area.
also, the
Yes,
way he
no.
just does it so fluently.
And the further you go, the more abilities you get. That even after doing that, you can press another button, which gives him another special.
You can upgrade
move.
that skill, I think,
Exactly.
where he gets an extra swing.
Yes, and so putting all those into combination, it's like a dance, not to be too.
It can be a dance
Too
because
fancy,
I've
yeah.
seen some gifs
But
on
it's
Reddit.
it's so flowing. The fight
amazing.
is so beautiful. It's. I mean, to me, yeah, I'm in love with the game, so I'm gonna be a bit biased.
Fighting in God of War can be an art as you go along and
Yes,
get
yes,
all
exactly.
the upgrades
Exactly.
and upgrade all your skills, because
And the armor. Don't forget that you can upgrade for the very
Yes.
first time in this game. The armor and the Leviathan.
this is the first
axe
time
as
you
well.
actually have equipment. You can Kratos has stats.
Exactly. And in fact, you do level him up. The leveling system doesn't really affect you in
It's
the
not a
campaign.
level as such. You upgrade your weapon.
And your gear.
You
And
have
you
your
do have
skills.
an overall stat
Yes.
of level. And you have exactly the usual health,
For example, to upgrade your axe, you need a
runic.
particular item which is extremely rare.
Yes.
You get it in particular moments of the game to upgrade, in fact.
Exactly.
But that will level up your weapon, and then you get more stats.
Yeah.
Because your armor and weapons increase, for example, your defense, your strength, your runic damage.
Yes. And you need all those to do these special moves better and deal out more damage. So you need to keep in mind what you're equipping.
The game, in fact, in the beginning, when you don't have the stuff that help you improve your stats, the game is quite tough on you.
Yes.
Again, me playing it on hard
On
mode,
hard.
doing the first fights was really tough. Very, very tough. But now, since I'm getting skills and upgrading my stats more, fights have become more bearable. They're challenging now. That's what I was trying to look for when I started playing in this difficulty. But the first fights were too difficult. A friend of mine was hearing me on Discord all the time. Fucking
I told you that I tried it in God mode, which is the worst, and I
getting the
couldn't
messages from you is like, Will, I tried God mode. No.
No, exactly. I couldn't even get past the first Draugr. No, the first group of Draugrs. Not to make it sound too bad.
I
But
heard
it
that
is,
the enemies level up also.
they level up whilst you're fighting them, and they generate all their health back. Jesus Christ. And it's not even a boss fight, it's the least powerful enemy you have. How
Keep good.
fast can you be? You need improvement, boy. But anyway.
Kratos, be better, please.
Yeah, to himself. We mentioned the upgrading system. I think we can mention how you upgrade. Yeah, I don't think it's a big giveaway.
No.
You actually meet
meet people on the
two
way that can help
blacksmiths,
you.
yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Sindri and Brock, they're dwarfs. Something I loved about them, I think I told you this before. So, as you're progressing through the level,
Yeah.
just from a game perspective, after entering a different level, you'll find the blacksmiths there, right? Just so you can upgrade your gear.
The fact that you just find them.
And the game
I love that the
actually
game
deals with
pisses-
that. It's so cool, the fact that you actually get Kratos asking the blacksmith, how the hell did you get here? And the blacksmith, obviously being dwarves, they come up with this.
They just take the piss.
Yeah, dwarven magic. You have no idea how it works.
Like,
We're
it just
very
happens,
sly.
okay? You won't understand.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Kind
don't
of, the
ask
game is
again.
actually taking the piss on how you do find NPCs appearing out of nowhere after you would have
Exactly.
been fighting. I don't know how many monsters on the way,
Yeah.
plus most probably a
The
boss fight.
giant ogre or whatever.
So there was this massive giant on the way here, and you're
Frost
already
giant,
past
yeah.
this point. Thank you very much. Please tell me how you managed
exactly.
to even set up a hut, a camp with all your
Inventory and
merchandise,
yeah. Well,
like,
that
hi, do
was
you want
cool.
one of this? Like, I want one of how did you get here? Nah,
Yeah, it's cool.
it has. Considering the seriousness of Kratos,
Yeah.
there are those light moments in the game where you get a giggle out of it.
And what we mentioned before also is the chemistry between him and his son. As we said, I mean, Kratos is very hard on his son. Right? In fact, there are a lot of memes already coming out
Bored.
of Kratos going, "Is that my son? Did he just breed? Boy,
Be better.
be better." Exactly. And
But that
that's
chemistry
something I
is
love.
beautiful.
That's something we didn't see in the previous Kratos.
No.
Kratos is
Kratos was always killing everyone, trying to redeem himself. Now this is his chance of proper redemption, or more
Exactly.
like being calm, and being a father is like a challenge to himself. But one thing that I'm really enjoying just really taking it in bit by bit, is the environment of the game.
yes.
The visuals, it's so snowy.
It is.
But the fact that when you're moving in the snow, you have the footprints and you're dragging away. There would be a cutscene with a boat, you dragging this boat onto the lake, and you can actually see the snow being deformed from the boat's weight as you take it. It's so visually appealing.
And when you said before, you mentioned how when you're hunting the deer, you actually see the
When I was talking
footprints.
to you about the deer, oh yes, there'll be a part where you tell your son, "Hey, what are these footprints?" "Ah, it's the deer." Then go find it, and then you see, apart from before, it was just the footprints of the deer. Then you see your son's footprints. Then I go, "Can I do this myself also?" And then I go walking on the mud, just squishing my feet on there, and I'm seeing my detailed foot on the mud. I'm like, wow, this is so pretty.
And that is
I
exactly
became a kid playing in the mud again. Like, go Kratos,
how a game developer plays a game.
by squishing mud.
Squishing in mud.
It's so pretty. Considering we're both playing, you're playing it on the original PS4, I'm playing it on the Slim.
Yeah.
So in terms of visuals plus speed, it's good.
Yes.
It's a really pretty game. We're playing it on 30 FPS, so it's amazing.
No, it is.
With all that, it's running nicely.
Visually, I mean, for their times, I mean, now compared to God of War, they wouldn't, you wouldn't say they're as nice, but for their times,
There isn't the same visual. Most of the visual would be in the previous God of War games, kind of an open area, fine, but not as detailed as the scenes that
No,
we're
of course
experiencing
not.
now.
Of course not.
And then a massive monster in the background that you
Exactly.
probably have to kill.
Exactly.
But
And-
this is different.
And I thought, were the other God of Wars as puzzle based?
The
Because I'm
first
not
one.
sure.
The first one.
The first one, because you have quite a number of puzzles in this one.
They're not complicated at all. They're very straightforward. They act as kind of that intermission between fights.
Yes, exactly. In fact, most of them
Like
are
the one that I posted recently of the being impaled by the
Yeah.
ceiling.
And
It
that
was
was a
simple-
trap.
That
That was one of
you're
those
meant
puzzles
to keep the axe frozen on
on a gear.
a gear, because the axe does help you in the game.
Yes.
Apart from just fighting,
It
helps
not
you with
only
the puzzle
freezes enemies,
progression.
it freezes anything it's thrown to.
Exactly.
you
It
can
adds on
freeze
to
a gear
its
to keep it
personality
breathing.
of being a frost weapon.
Yes.
I took the axe out of the gear, and while I was fighting, just get impaled by the ceiling.
Got squished.
And,
Exa-
and my son laughing at me that I died.
In fact, most of the puzzles are solved in that way. You usually either have to throw your axe to turn a bridge and then
or Atreus helps you by dropping a chain.
exactly.
They're fairly straightforward.
Yes,
I think some
there are
people
a
might find
few.
them as a bit time wasting or not. I'm not sure.
Towards the end, because you get these areas,
Mhm.
which you remember on your compass. I'm not sure if you got to. I think you did get to one very early in the game.
Where you
your
have
compass just turns blue.
where the objective
sorry,
marker
gold.
is on your screen.
There are no markers. The compass just turns gold, and it's a search area. In fact, you need to look for clues yourself.
It becomes so eventually, like later in the game, you don't have it in the beginning. You get that sort of Skyrim Horizon compass where
Horizon,
above you have the direction you're looking at and a marker, for example, an objective
Yes,
with how far you are away from that objective.
yes.
But then there are times, as you were saying, it turns gold.
It's in a small
which says
area,
your
a
objective is
relatively
in this
small
area.
Yes, and
So-
just need
so
to
this-
look for clues. Atreus also helps you. Sometimes you're just walking and says, "What is that?" And it could be, for example, you
Oh,
get
yes.
either these chests. You have the chests. We need to discuss those as well. There's more than one type of chest.
There is,
I think there are
there's
some
the runic
5.
chests where
There-
you have to find 3 runes which you hit with your axe.
Yes,
Then I
You
saw
get
a
the red
chest
ones.
where Atreus, it's another just simple open chest. But I noticed you need Atreus to open the chest.
yes. He just pulls his dagger into the mask,
Mhm.
and then you open. So that's another one. Then you have the red one. Which
That's a
are
simple
just,
one where you
just
get a pouch
hiding.
or something.
No, they're not the simple ones.
What do you mean?
Sometimes they're
Maybe I did not notice something.
they're harder to find.
Okay.
They're not blatantly
It's
out
not
there.
that difficult to find them, though.
Mhm.
I felt that finding chests so far has been easy.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's not like I have to do this jumping puzzle, which is really hidden in the corner of the stage.
Not to, again. Don't forget, I'm walking on a minefield of spoilers, trying not to spoil it.
Maybe,
but
maybe it's
further on, you
different
do get.
compared to where I am now.
In fact, I'm not sure. Have you met one of those doors where Atreus tells you, "Ooh, we can't go through that. Some powerful magic is protecting that."
I think I found one actually.
You get a lot of those situations where you need to advance in the game, and you get a lot of chests behind that very wall.
Okay. I found one, but it's like, I mean, there's some powerful magic.
Exactly.
It's locked.
Exactly.
So I couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, at least, that they're using your son as a means of telling you can't do this yet.
Yeah, exactly.
There was another point early in the game where I explored this small area, and basically Atreus tells you, I don't think we have the thing yet that lets us use this.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And he refers to his bows.
Uh-huh.
Says, maybe my upgraded bows could get this.
Atreus gets improvements on his bow that lets you progress further in levels, even places where you would have passed before.
Yes.
Where you needed these upgrades. We're not going to say what these upgrades are.
No, don't give much away.
But they help you.
Yes. And I think that's something else that's new to God of War. That the map is... You can go back to the place you were very easily.
Yes, it's part of the open world that we
Right?
mentioned of this game.
The game is centered around this big lake. Where you have this sort of bridge, which is the Bifrost. Which, if anyone's watched any film of Thor lately,
Yes.
it's a means of...
Basically, the stage is the level selector of Crash Bandicoot.
very similar. Very similar. Very similar. The last one. The last Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, very similar. But basically, the Bifrost, which is a means of traveling in the Norse mythology, is just this tree, this life tree, rather than the Avenger films, which you put in a sword and it's a bridge. But yeah, anyway, it's centered in this lake, where you have access to different realms. And you can go through every realm, obviously after you've unlocked them, you can visit them again for certain goals, certain upgrades.
What's nice is that each realm
and
is actually unique to a specific part of Norse mythology.
What do you mean?
It handles one type of species, let's call it that.
No.
No?
There are the giants that are mentioned.
Yes, but that's in one realm. And then in another realm, it's about these other beasts, for example.
You're afraid you're going to give something out, eh?
Yes.
But I've done it, alright. What is it?
No. What I'm just saying is that each realm is letting the designers mess around with specific stuff related to Norse mythology.
Yes,
that's what I mean.
Just for the game's
No,
benefit.
I'm not trying to spoil anything.
Okay, alright, okay.
I was trying to be careful with my words,
yes.
David.
Alright, okay.
Help me.
But yeah, me, for example, when we were talking before, it reminded me a lot of Uncharted. To me, it's one of those great games. Like Uncharted.
It's a film.
Alright, for its time, Uncharted was one of the most beautiful games out visually. Right. It also had especially the last one. It had that constant shot effect, which
the single camera cinematography.
Exactly. You have that through the whole game. There are 0 loading screens. There is an element of fast travel. Have you done the fast travel? Have you gotten?
Yeah,
that
I saw
far?
the fast travel, but I haven't used it yet.
All right. Where it's basically you enter this gate, which is always near a blacksmith, right?
Yeah.
And to fast travel from one point of the map to the other. It's basically just entering the same space and just walking around in circle of this, the Bifrost tree or the Tree of Life, whatever you may call it, waiting for a gate to appear, which is a sort of loading screen. But it's a very smart way, at least in my opinion, a very smart way
It's
of
one
the
of the
game
tricks to
developers.
to make the game load, but yet there's
Exactly,
something.
but not cut.
I'm trying to
cut
remember
into a
which
loading
one
screen.
which game it was, but someone maybe might comment about it. Who knows? One of the tricks to load the game, I think it was Bioshock. You would have a lift to transition from one place to the other.
Okay,
That lift was actually the loading screen. The
loading
game
screen.
would be loading the new stage.
exactly.
But like that, it's seamless, the whole progress between one place to the other. So God of War is using the lift mechanic, so
Exactly.
to speak.
What else?
I can't
Before we
remember
mentioned the loading screens, and we did mention something else.
I mean,
Something
again,
might
the
be
camera.
forgotten.
The camera is just.
Beautiful.
I love how it's just moving from one spot to the other without being cut. Similar to what we mentioned before of A Way Out, the hospital level.
Yes.
And it's kind. I was gonna say Cloverfield somehow.
Cloverfield.
The way the camera is always shaking for the action-packed moments.
All right, I get what you mean by Cloverfield. Okay, by the first. Okay, by the action camera.
Because the camera shakes a lot when
It's not just
trying
a
to depict its
constant camera
intense.
angle. Yeah.
The earth shaking or this really tough fight happening, like the first boss fight that happens.
Which IGN classified that as one of the most beautiful boss fights in God of War.
Mm-hmm.
Which it is a lot of fun.
It gets a bit dragging if you're playing on hard mode. So if I had to if I could have the chance that I meet someone, he's going to play God of War for the first time, and he did happen to ask me how do I play the game, I would tell him don't play it hard mode initially, mainly to enjoy the story more.
I agree with you on that.
Maybe I would let them change to hard mode as some time passes by. But back to the scene of that boss fight of the first one, it had a really intense, powerful feeling where you get this crazy guy going, "Come," and Kratos is defending his home.
Exactly.
It's
that scene sort of sets the pace to the game because I don't want to say his name. I know his name because if you say his name, it's a bit of a reveal.
But
the
even I know
stranger,
his
let's
name.
call him the stranger. The stranger asks him, and he doesn't even tell him. He doesn't even tell him what he wants. He tells him, "You know what I want. Just give it to me. It could have been easier than this. You know that Odin sends him because he says it. He says, when Odin sent me here, he just wanted me to ask some questions." So it sets the tone of the game in a way that not even you as a player or Kratos knows why he was attacked.
The game
he does
starts
in fact
piling
attack
up
Kratos.
questions for you.
Yeah.
Which
it sets
you
the
told
pace,
me
it
they
sets
get
the tone.
answered in the end.
Exactly. Because at the beginning of the game, it was just okay. So
it doesn't leave you with any cliffhangers, right? In the end, the game. Or yes.
All right. No. It doesn't leave you with any
Not
cliffhangers.
It's like
The game does end, but it does set itself up
it
for a
sets itself
prequel.
for a potentially next God of War, but
To me, I'd bet that 100% that there will be another God of War, and it will
that
be
people would kill off a
Kratos
franchise just
and
like
Atreus.
that. I
Sorry?
think. I don't think they would kill off a franchise just like that.
No, they wouldn't. And don't forget, it's a small tip. I don't believe I said this. I told you this already. When the game finishes, right?
Going to the hut, right?
Yes, go back home and see what happens. I believe that's a prequel to the next installment of God of War. There is so much. I mean, even if you just think about it, Norse mythology has so many gods, as much as the Greek mythology had, if not more.
Which died.
The Greek mythology, all right, all of them died. Hopefully they won't do the same with this. But
there were so many
it's-
gods,
yeah,
but they're dead.
and not to give much, but you do get visits from old friends as well. just to give you that bit without a spoiler, hopefully. But yeah, to me, I mean, IGN,
I'm pretty
I was
sure.
skeptical.
There are some people confusing the fact that this is a reboot of
It
the
is
series of
not.
God of War, but it's not.
No, it
Because
isn't.
there is a lot of connections with Kratos' past.
There isn't a lot. Listen, if I hadn't played the previous games, I wouldn't have been totally lost whilst I was playing this. So I'd go as far to say that you would be able to play this game without knowing much about Kratos before.
But it still provides
You wouldn't
a lot.
appreciate it as much. I mean, if you don't play the previous God of Wars, you wouldn't appreciate the beauty of it and how they morphed the story to fit
To get to the stage that Kratos
game.
is now.
Exactly. And even you wouldn't immerse yourself as much into the story. I mean, when IGN first time round released a rating of 10 on 10, I was a bit skeptical.
I got very skeptical. Everyone coming
Because
out with 10 on 10s, not just
everyone-
IGN.
But to be honest, I get it and I agree. I agree that it is easily one of the best games of the year, even though we just started the year and there are a lot of good titles coming out like Last of Us.
I wouldn't say we just
And
started
Red
the
Dead
year. We're close to
Redemption.
May, dude.
Excuse me?
I wouldn't say we just started the year. We're close to May, my friend.
You know, I'm saying that because, as I said, there are a lot of good games to come out. We're not even halfway through the year yet, you know.
No, that's true. And end of May, we've got Detroit.
And Detroit. Listen, I'm looking forward to playing, but I don't think it will come anywhere close to
That was not going to be a God of War, but
to Detroit. I mean, if anything,
it will be fun.
If anything, Last of Us, Red Dead Redemption. That's coming out this year, right? Was it delayed
I
to next year?
forgot.
Not sure. Anyway,
I don't know how I feel about it since I never played the first one.
you never played Red Dead.
Nope.
you know you need to play that before the year's out.
So much to play.
So yeah,
much to play.
the only disappointment, the only thing that I would change or add rather than change, is the
Yeah.
Game Plus. You know how Witcher,
Witcher
once you-
provides a new Games Plus when you finish it.
exactly. So you keep all your armor. Just you can go through the whole game again, but the enemies would be leveled close to your level. In God of War, you don't get that. If you want to play the game again, you have to play it from scratch. So even if you're starting it on hard, as William is doing, you just have the axe, which isn't upgraded. So I would have loved to see.
It would have been interesting in
Kratos.
your point of view after getting whatever you have to do those fights from the beginning again with those improvements.
Yes. Because even towards the end of the game, you get so much special abilities and so much new skills that the fighting is so beautiful and so fluent.
It's an art form in
It
itself.
is.
At the beginning, it's very simple. You can't do much. You're basically spamming a button. But as you get the skills and upgrades, there's so much.
It
a
gets
dance
so
form.
fluent if you know what you're doing and you can combine the moves together. It's beautiful.
I've
It
been
is, honestly.
seeing
It's a beautiful
gifs on Reddit about the fighting. It looks like you're watching a cutscene, but it's not. It's actually the game.
game. No, it is. It is.
You
It's the game.
fighting.
Exactly. Yeah. So to bring God of War
Yeah, we
to
can
a
start closing
conclusion.
up. We've spoken enough without trying to spoil anything.
Yes.
We tried.
Navigating the minefield that is
I mean,
God
we
of
may
War.
have mentioned a few things, but nothing that's
No, I don't
will,
believe we've
ruined
spoiled
the
the game.
experience of the game because
No.
not even I know a lot of the game, to be honest.
No, exactly. So no, I don't believe. I think that we're still there. To be honest,
I've been hearing other people talk about the game, and the one common question people ask is, "So what about the other weapons?" And everyone's response is, "No, I can't say anything."
this is me
And
biting
you're doing the
my
same
tongue.
to me when I asked.
Yes. But no, to be honest, when we were planning out this episode, I had written some points and mentioned some characters which I crossed off the list after because I noticed that
You started
Just
to mention
mentioning
names
them,
to me, and
going,
I'm
who
telling
this
you,
is,
Dave,
this is,
no,
this-
I don't
no,
know who these
no.
people are.
So
No.
no, but I think that's that's quite enough.
Nah, my experience
telling you
has
that.
been really good. Only the tutorial I had to nitpick about, to be honest. And I still have a lot to do in the game, since I told you I'm in the first realm. And I guess a lot of the main story is still starting off for me.
I mean, I'm still playing it and I'm finished. So I finished the story and you get 2 new levels which help you contribute to get some golden armor. And
Yeah.
I mean, it is the satisfaction of fighting with the axe is it's never ending. I mean, I
It's
can't
fun.
get
love
enough
the
of
axe
it,
too
to
much.
be honest. And
I
that
think
is-
it's what makes the game shine in the beginning for you, because the combat is fun from the
It is.
beginning.
It is, and it's not a simple button smasher as the other God of Wars, where you need
No,
to
it's not.
actually use tactics and not to repeat ourselves. But
Yeah. From the
use
little
tactics.
that I've seen now, because obviously I didn't have that much chance to play God of War ever since I
Exactly.
came back from the conference.
Yeah, the conference.
That was fun. I love that conference. Dubrovnik is amazing. Croatian beer was good. I got to see King's Landing.
Yes,
Since you've been mentioning Game of Thrones during
I
this
mentioned
recording
it
by mistake.
if anyone hasn't noticed, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan.
Yep.
So I'm
I
a
had
bit
sent you the
jealous.
photo of King's Landing. I didn't even tell you anything. I just sent you the photo, and your response immediately was
King's Landing. But anyway,
No, it was great talking to people there. I was, for example, I spoke a lot to the guy who's designing Phoenix Point, who people don't know is the guy who came up with XCOM, the strategy game. I saw a lot of indie games over there. There was an award show where people demonstrate their games, and then they'd have best sound category, best game of the year, or best indie game in the conference, stuff like that. In fact, I'm trying to find, before we did this show, when I was preparing the points, I was trying to remember the name of the game that won the game of the conference.
It was a game that they did before, right? It's not a game
It's
that they
it's
developed
nothing-
and came up with during
It looks
the
really
conference.
pretty as a game because it's one of these walking simulators like Firewatch,
Okay.
where you have a story and you progress through it. But it was really pretty visually
Okay.
because Unreal Engine,
Because Unreal Engine.
of course. Okay, so the game is put out, and it is about his biography of living in a war zone and
And in Syria.
exactly allows the player to follow the journey of Abdullah Karam, who escaped the Syrian war in 2014.
2014.
Yeah, so it's quite recent.
Exactly.
It was really nice to see stuff like that. But then the other good thing about the conference is having one day, spending it in the afternoon in the sun, having the view of the mountains, drinking beer,
Enjoying
other game
Dubrovnik.
dev people join you, just sitting down on the sofa, and you start talking like, hey, what do you do, blah blah blah. I do this, wow, that's really cool. I do this also, oh, that's cool. And you start talking experiences to each other.
Socializing.
Yes.
Good.
Nah, it was really fun.
Good.
And I'm already thinking of going next year.
Don't mention Iceland, because if you go to another Game of Thrones location before
No,
I
no, it is still Dubrovnik.
do. All right.
There's nothing Iceland, I can assure you.
All right.
But it was fun also when I posted the releases of certain games over there.
Yes, and
I
there
mentioned
was
Star Divers,
Yes.
which is a totally different game from the game company that was famous for Resogun on the PlayStation. I don't know if you ever played Resogun on the PS4.
no.
Pity, was really good. Then there was another company. Yes, Crow Team, obviously. The release of they announced Series Sam 4, and there hasn't been a Series Sam game in quite a long time. So it was really good that they're coming back. And we got the sneak peek. It was really nice to be a part of it. We
That's
couldn't
so
take
nice.
videos or photos of this game.
Uh-huh.
And it was called Ancestors.
Uh-huh.
The game designer for this game is by... he used to be a designer for the Assassin's Creed series. Now he left to make his own company.
Okay.
And in fact, I saw an article on the site of VG247 they called the game the Assassin's Creed of Apes. Because it's seriously
Okay.
about the evolution of man. And you see, when we saw the gameplay video that we couldn't take a video of, you just see this ape going around, climbing trees, going through this vast nature around you, getting food, getting materials, stuff like that. There wasn't anything in depth, to be honest, but that's what it looked like, Assassin's Creed of Apes.
Okay.
And in the end, it just ends with this ape being mutilated by a massive eagle because you got captured and your food.
Okay.
Like, that was your journey. Okay. So now we see what's going to happen with this one. Yeah, that was the Conference Mania weekend of drinks, games,
And
and
interaction.
networking.
Right. So I think we're towards the end of the episode. So
News
let's
there
go
wasn't
into
much.
Sorry.
News there wasn't much, to be
News
honest.
there wasn't much really.
Tomb Raider you want to mention?
Yes, I wanted to mention the new Tomb Raider trailer, which looks cool. It's like
Yeah, Promise looks interesting,
Yeah.
but we still don't know any details of the game yet.
No, I don't believe this. Is there a release date of that? Don't really think so.
Don't know. Maybe this year. Who knows?
Maybe towards the end of the year. But yeah, PSN games that came out for May. We've got quite an interesting couple of games. So there's Beyond Two Souls.
Uh-huh. So people can prepare
for Detroit.
before Detroit. You can play Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah. Detroit is a game we're definitely gonna play and mention in future episodes.
Definitely.
So yeah, and I'll definitely be playing Beyond Two Souls. There's King Oddball, Rayman Legends.
That's fun.
So those are for the PS4.
If you haven't played Rayman yet,
Yes, I haven't, and now I'm gonna play it. In fact,
that's so fun.
it's on my to-do list for this month.
It's I still think it's one of the nicest 2D games out there.
Yeah.
The art of the game is so crisp and colorful.
On PS3, there's King Oddball as well. So King Oddball is coming out for PS4, PS3, and Vita. Then there's Eat Them for PS3.
What?
Eat Them. Yeah.
Okay.
Eat me. Anyway,
I have to look this up.
Risen 3. I'll
Eat
definitely
them,
look that up.
PSN.
Risen 3 Titan Lords. And on the Vita, apart from King Oddball, there's I'm not sure I'm gonna pronounce this right. Furmins in the next episode.
Yeah, Furmins makes sense.
Furmins, right? Okay, so it's pronounced Furmins.
Because it's essentially about fairy things.
Really?
Yes,
I like vermins. Furmins.
exactly.
Okay.
Hey.
Got that. Although it's spelled totally differently.
Yeah,
but
from
anyway.
Housemark.
And then there are a few upcoming games for May, right? We're gonna mention the few games that are coming out during the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
of
I mean,
May.
it's not an intense 2 weeks for
No.
game releases, so you can continue finishing off any games that you have, guys. It's gonna be good.
Detroit is coming out towards the end of May, but again, as said before,
Yeah,
we
that's at the
mentioned
end
that
of the
in
month, so
previous.
it's still easy.
Exactly.
We've got a chance to finish games. Like, I still have to finish God of War
Exactly.
and 100 things.
I'll start Beyond Two Souls and Rayman, and again discuss those in the future. But Donkey Kong Country is coming on the 4th of May.
Tropical Freeze is coming on the Switch.
It's coming out on the
Thank
Switch.
you, Nintendo.
Yeah, and there are a couple of games that you wanted to mention, right?
We already mentioned these in the previous episode, I think. Battletech. We did actually mention Battletech.
Yes, we
that's
mentioned
out
it in the last
since
episode.
April 24th, together with Frostpunk. So it's the day of the RTS, or strategy in general. But they're two totally different strategies. Battletech is the tactical turn-based strategy, XCOM style, featuring the mechs, which people are familiar of MechWarrior. Then you know which mechs we're talking about. Then there's Frostpunk, which is a survival strategy game about living in this new type of London enveloped in snow. So it's a very harsh environment, a city with rules that you build up, like do the children go in labor or do they hide in safety, stuff like that. So you either become a harsh ruler, depends on how you want to live in this snowy area. Obviously, you can't be too good because no one will do anything and you die. But that is doing really well. Swords of Ditto also is out on the PC and PS4, which is a very cute Zelda-like game. So with a bit of roguelike elements. So I think it will catch some people's eyes. Did you mention South Park for?
No, I hadn't mentioned South Park.
No, yeah, because South Park came out on the Switch. So if you were waiting for a Switch release, then now's your chance. And oh yes, May 8th. It's happening. If you're a big RPG fan, Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. But if you're into the long RPG story games, if you've played Pillars of Eternity 1, then you're going to be playing this. If you haven't, then do so, because it's back to the beautiful Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, maybe Neverwinter Nights days. It's nice to see these type of games come back. But yeah, it's quite quiet. Nothing massive. There are a few games coming out also on May 15, but we'll keep those for the next episode.
For the next episode, exactly.
We should be back on track with the 2-week schedule this time.
So yes, we're planning the next one to be on the 16th, around the 16th or the 13th. Depends on
we'll see.
Weekend.
We will not promise anything on this episode.
Yep.
People will eat us.
Yeah.
But we might discuss a bit more God of War the next time.
Yes. Hopefully you'd have it done.
Yeah.
And we might have something special in store. We're trying to...
Oh, yes.
Yes. We're gonna enter...
To be a fool.
Yeah.
To be a fool in Counter-Strike.
Tournament on Counter-Strike.
If nothing comes up, we should be humiliating ourselves in 2 versus 2s.
Yeah, so we'll try and see how we can produce some content out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's on the 16th. So it will most probably won't be included in the next episode.
Won't be included, but might be something a bit separate.
Or something
actually.
To bridge, exactly, episode 4 and 5. So that's it. End of episode 3.
Yep.
Hope you enjoyed it. As usual, leave us comments. Let us know whatever you think about the episodes, what you want us to improve or discuss. And you can follow us on Facebook.
Subscribe on YouTube if you want to follow our podcast on YouTube.
Yes, SoundCloud and iTunes.
And now we are on iTunes.
We are also on iTunes.
We look slightly more professional like that.
Slightly, only slightly. Anyway, that's it. Cheers and thank you for listening.
Thanks. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Bye.